Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And in this segment, I'm going to be going over a theory which is somewhat foreign to public health, but is very applicable to certain scenarios. So let's go ahead and get started. This is known as, and as you see the diagram, this is known as the Lazarus and Folkman stress and coping framework. So this is otherwise known as the transactional model of stress and coping. And a lot of people, when they're living in the city or crowded area, there's a lot of different stressors going on, which increases their allostatic load. So this explains a dynamic interaction between a person and their environment. And what this reminds us of is social cognitive therapy, social cognitive theory, but it's somewhat different. So let me go through the details of this diagram. This was actually in the 80s, and the key idea was that stress is not caused only by events themselves, but by how people perceive or interpret. Another word is appraise those events and their ability to cope. Um, so, two people can experience certain stress and have a very different type of reaction to it, depending on how they appraise the situation. So, is the situation harmful, threatening, or challenging? Um, so, so that's the primary appraisal. Anyway, the core idea here is that there are demands of the situation that exceed their resources or threaten well-being. So then that's where this framework comes into play. So let me go over this diagram. So the first thing obviously is the stressful event. Now the primary appraisal is first of all, is this harmful, threatening, challenging? Then you go through a secondary appraisal where you're asking the questions: Can I cope? What resources do I have? And that's secondary appraisal. And then the coping response, that's very important. And the problem focused or emotion focused, which one is the coping mechanism that you use? And then, of course, outcome reappraisal, where you reassess situation and coping effectiveness. So let's go into the different appraisals, because appraisal is kind of a foreign concept and not necessarily used often in a theory. So the person evaluates, appraisal means evaluation. So the person evaluates the meaning of the event. So is it irrelevant, not important, benign, harmless, or beneficial? And then stressful. And that stressful has three categories: harm, loss, damage already occurred, threat, possible future harm, and then challenge, opportunities for growth or success. Um, so these are kind of like a SWOT technique: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So perceiving threats or understanding how it works um, is the evaluation that the person makes. Let's give an example. So the example is, if it's a threat, then the idea of the person is I might fail. And this exam is taken by two different people, and one might see it as a threat, and one can see it as a challenge. I can prove what I know, so it's more of an optimistic sort of challenge reaction. Approval, secondary approval is known as, or evaluation is known as, do I have enough time, skills or knowledge, social support, and emotional strength or money. So then, if resources seem adequate, stress may feel manageable. If not, stress is intensified. So, what are the coping strategies that were proposed by Lazarus and Folkman? Well, there's two types. One is problem focused coping, and the other one is emotional focused coping. So, problem focused is making a plan, studying more, seeking advice. We're still going into the example, and then solving the problem directly. Emotion focused is regulating emotional distress, so relaxation, reframing thoughts, seeking emotional support, acceptance, or distraction. So, problem focused coping is more common when the situation seems controllable. Emotion focused coping is often used when it seems uncontrollable or less controllable. So, reappraisal. So, now you're evaluating the situation once more. So, people can continuously reassess the situation. So, the reappraisal is happening cyclically. So, based on new information or coping success, these are being continuously assessed. Stress can decrease, remain, or increase. So, a situation of losing a job. Primary appraisal, this is threat to my finances. Secondary appraisal, I have savings and supportive family. And then the next is coping. Update resume, apply for jobs, talk to friends, and manage anxiety, which is emotion focused. And then reappraisal. I'm getting interviews. Maybe this is manageable. So this framework basically is very important because it can be used in psychology, nursing, health sciences, and stress research because it explains why people react differently to the same stressor. This highlights the role of perception, coping skills, and context. So this covers everything about this theory about the Lazarus Folkman stress and coping mechanism framework. I hope this has made some sense. Thank you for listening.